any evidence. There isn't any evidence, and that is why in the Buddhism, when we talk about the existence, we only talk about there are three categories. And the first category is something that we call Hongmungyul. Hongmungyul means something that is visible, something that is tangible, something that is visible, which we can see, we can smell, we can taste, we can hear, like something that is with our five senses. And those are called like the visible category. And then there is another thing that exists just from the label. Just it is this because it is called this, something like that. So that is the second category. And then there is the third category, which is called the hidden meaning. And the hidden meaning, such as then when it comes to the hidden meaning, then it is divided also into two sections. Like something that is hidden, like such as the impermanent nature of our life. Like for example, when we think about our life, is it impermanent or is it permanent? What will we say? We say it is impermanent. But when we look at it, it doesn't really look like it. We don't see it, right? Every moment there is like a momentarily it changes, but when it changes really big, like we were like a kid, and then we were teenage, and then we are adults. Like we see in the big picture, there's a big change that we see. But this big change occurs from a very tiny, small changes. But we don't see that, right? It is not visible to our eyes. We cannot hear it. We cannot taste it. We cannot smell it. We cannot, just kind of feel it. But it is there. And how can we understand that our life is changing momentarily? That kind of meaning is called the hidden. And you can understand only through the reason. Like it is changing because, it is changing momentarily because, one time I was a kid, now I am this adult, right? And this is the reason that how we understand. And then there is another, we call it like Shindu Kokyu, means way too hard to understand. That's called the Shindu Kokyu, means way to understand, way hidden behind. And that category, that kind of existence is called the past life, the next life, and all these things. Which even Buddha himself, actually, he said that I cannot really prove that there is the evidence of the past life and next life. So mainly, most important thing in the Buddhism, actually, we talk about is enlightenment, right? Enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Actually, enlightenment is realization that actually we are perfectly okay. We are perfectly okay. It is like every single thing in this universe is perfectly okay as it is. So everything as it is, and when you come to that realization, when you realize that everything is okay as it is, and when you come to that realization, actually that is called the enlightenment in the big picture. So, like when we understand that, then how long does it really take to realize that? And it is not really easy, right? It is not really easy to come to that kind of realization, that kind of understanding. So that is why in the Buddhism, when we talk about how long it takes, then it is like maybe not only this life, maybe it will take few lifetimes. And not only that, not few lifetimes, maybe billions and billions of lifetimes. So in a way, how the reincarnation system comes into that is to realize the enlightenment, and then when we talk about the existence as it is, then in the Buddhism we talk about ultimate truth and the relative truth. So these two truths are something that, the main thing. And once you understand how these two truths exist in the existence, then actually you can understand the reincarnation system. So to understand the reincarnation system, first you need to understand what is consciousness. Because when we talk about going from one life to another, this physical body does not go from this life to another life. So what it goes, there is some essence. There is some essence that goes travels from one life to another. And for that, what in the Buddhism we call, that is called the consciousness. So that consciousness is the essence. Sometimes, there are schools, there are actually different schools in the Buddhism. One school that is called the realistic, right? Realistic. They only talk about real things. And then there is the idealistic, which is called the mind-only school. They say nothing exists external. Everything is a projection of your mind. And then there is the middle way. So there's mainly three categories in the Buddhist school, and different Buddhist schools actually believe in different things. Even when we talk about the consciousness, sometimes they talk about consciousness as some totally object, and where object and subject meet, and which is totally even it is the external object. They count consciousness as an external object. And then, in the idealistic school, they actually talk about consciousness as some sort of internal, a mind kind of clarity. And then when it comes to the middle way, they only talk about consciousness as an observer. And when you talk about observer, and then, this is a huge topic, right? What is, who observe what? And what is the subject and what is the object? And when it comes to this kind of topic, then it will become too philosophical and it will become too complicated, right? So even in the Buddhist school, I don't think I have the time to really talk about that in 20 minutes, right? And in the present, even in the Buddhist school, there's a huge debate, what is the real observer? I will just tell you a little bit about that. For example, when you see something and you remember that later, and when you remember it, what you remember? You remember that I saw that, right? I saw this thing yesterday, and during that time, you are seeing the flower, and then there is another observer that is seeing that you are seeing it, right? So is that the observer behind that? And is that the real self, or is that the consciousness? So when you talk about that, then it raises a lot of questions. And so finally, I want to actually conclude this with a lot of questions. If actually in the Buddhist history, there was 14 questions that asked to the Buddha. And maybe these 14 questions are actually a related question for our topic today. So I will just read these 14 questions.